go to Grace in Grand Rapids, Michigan. What's up, Grace?
Oh, not much. How about you?
You know, I was going to say we're saving the world, but we for sure aren't. I'm running a middling podcast over here in Nashville, Tennessee, but I'm glad to be talking to you. What's going on?
Okay, so about a month ago, I woke up to a knock on my door from a state trooper saying that my husband was in a car wreck.
Yikes. What happened?
He was on his way to work, and a woman blew through a stop sign and got him pretty good.
Oh, man, I'm so sorry. So where's he at now? How is he?
At the time, he was in critical condition, which is something nobody wants to hear.
Yeah. You have little ones?
Yes, we have 3 little ones, 5 and under, so it's pretty busy around here.
Grace, I'm so sorry.
Yeah. He has severe brain damage due to it.
Okay.
He is currently in a nursing and rehab facility right now to try to get him back on his feet as much as possible.
Is he awake?
He is awake.
Does he have speech and eye movement and auditory and sensory stuff?
His eye movement is getting much better.
Okay.
And they just started speech therapy with him this week.
Okay. Does he recognize you when you're there?
We think so. He especially will try to move his mouth when his parents are in the room and grandparents.
Okay.
And especially the kids. That was when the kids came to visit him. That was the first time he actually was crying.
Okay. You know, that's a really remarkable sign, right?
Oh, yes.
Good.
Yes. There's so much, even just in little things, that God has been showing that he's still here for a reason, you know.
Yeah.
We keep hearing he should have died. He should have died on the operating table. He should have this, but he's still here.
I'm so sorry, Grace. So how can I help you today? I'm so sorry. Man.
Thank you. The biggest thing right now is it's going to be at least 2 to 5 years, hopefully, before he comes home. There is a possibility he might not come home again. The kids have been wondering when Daddy's coming home, especially our oldest, who's 5. I know they're going through a traumatic experience, just the fact of Daddy not being there. And I'm just wondering how to help them in that.
Yeah, oh man. I'm so sorry, Grace.
Thank you.
So there's a lot here, and if you and I were just talking in person, I'd probably spend the next 10 minutes just in a hug. Who's walking alongside you with this? Do you have family? Do you have friends that are connected with you guys in any way?
So both of our families are pretty big. So there's probably a total of like 40 family members alone.
So you got the opposite. It's like you just need a glass of water and you're getting a fire hose, right? Man.
People have been coming out of the woodwork we didn't even know existed. We honestly have more people taking care of us than we know what to do with.
Okay.
And we're both introverts, so that kind of makes it even more hilarious.
Oh, gosh. Jeez Louise. So
people have been giving us meals and asking what they can do around the house, childcare, anything basically we needed.
Okay. So I think I've talked about this on this show, but my oldest and best friend on planet Earth was one of his friends ran a stop sign and was hit by a car, and we spent some multiple days and nights sleeping on an ICU floor, and went through the whole TBI recovery process and all that stuff. And everything's different now. 20 years later, everything's different. And we still obviously are in contact almost every day. But well, I've never been married to anybody. I don't have kids. That's a whole other layer and level. That stunned, just hit by a bus feeling that you have. Oh my gosh, my heart breaks. So when it comes to kids, we can just focus on that one today. And then I want, if you're okay with it, over the next couple of weeks, next couple of months, I want to keep checking in with you. I've just been down this road, and I would love to just check in with you, okay? And make sure anything you need, you can holler at us. And you're going to have more people around you giving you bonkers advice and telling you what you should be doing and how you should be doing it and all that stuff. And sometimes just having a neutral person to call and just say, what in the world? I want to make sure that you know that we're always going to be here with you.
Thank you.
When it comes, let me just put it this way. This is a month ago, you said?
Yes.
Okay. Over the next 30 to 60 days, you're going to be able to breathe again. And my guess is maybe a couple of days here and there for an hour or so, but my guess is you haven't fully breathed yet. And when you hear things like it could be 2 to 5 years, there's a part of you where that registers, and a part of you, it could be 1,000 years, or hey, we're going to go to Mars, right? It feels like you're hearing some of this stuff underwater, right?
Yeah.
And then some days you surface and you wake up and you've slept a little bit deeper than you have, and you look over and he's not there. It all comes back like a giant tidal wave. And then you got 3 little kids that you got to feed and go to the bathroom, and they're asking questions like, where's daddy? And I miss daddy. And one of them will just start crying and yelling, and then it becomes really hard to breathe. Am I saying it about right?
Yes, and I did have a talk with the 2 oldest that, everybody's sad right now. Just because Daddy is not here, we all miss Daddy. We want him to come back. And they have expressed, they're sad too because they miss Daddy.
Of course.
But they have a little photo album each, pictures of them and Daddy playing, and so they'll look through that before they go to bed, and it helps them kind of just seeing pictures of him comforts them a little.
Having them... Well, so let me back out. One of the greatest things you can do for them is to tell them the truth, to not hide your grief from them. Don't overshare, but they're a part of this process with you. And one of the things that we often try to do is protect our kids. And in a situation like this is trauma that most people will never understand. When they cry, we say, it's going to be okay. And it's not. It's not. Everything's different. And when we cry, we go in the other room, and they feel crazy if we do that. And so in the days that you cry and they're in the room, put your arms out and say, can we snuggle? And you can just say, I'm missing Daddy. And that is a lifeline to a kid.
We've had lots of snuggles, and they definitely have seen me cry, and they know why. They just say, I miss Daddy too. And I'm like, yep.
Yeah. And the challenge here's the other challenge, that they don't become your comfort blanket, right? They can't fill that gap for you. And sometimes they are the next closest thing to him, right? And it's easy to make them, like they become your support blanket, if you will. And so making sure you've got adults. So the number one thing when folks say, what can I do for my kids in a moment like this? I tell them, you make sure you're taking care of you. That you're grieving, that you've got people around you, that you're sleeping, that you're eating, that you're going for walks, that you're moving your body, that you're doing those things that are going to keep your heart and head as clear as they possibly could be while you're trying not to drown in grief, right?
Believe me, my sisters and sisters-in-law have been making sure I'm eating, drinking, and that they get people around me when they're not there. So
Good. So here's the second thing. Draw boundaries. And do not apologize. I can't tell you the number of people who I've talked to over the years who have a loved one pass away, or in a car wreck, or they get a cancer diagnosis, and their full-time job becomes taking care of everyone around them, making sure they're all okay, right? And you now know that you have become a beacon to other people. Your husband's become a beacon to people that y'all love, that life is fragile. and it can go away at any moment. And you can just be driving to work and somebody runs a stop sign and it's all over, right? Or that life turns on a dime. And people don't know what to do with that, and they need you to make them feel like it's all going to be okay. And I need you to hear me say that's not your job. Your job is to take care of you and to love your kids. And so when you get 8,000 texts a day, you can feel free as a bird to respond to none of them. 0 of them. You don't owe anybody that. You don't owe anybody thank you notes for their meals. You don't owe anybody, you know what I mean? Like, I'll come over and clean up your house or mow your lawn. You don't know anybody that. You owe you the opportunity to begin to process this and heal. And you owe your husband just a hand to hold right now, and your kids and your kids and your kids. I want you to feel as free as possible, to set strong boundaries and say thank you, and then go on and accept the help.
Yes, that's been the most difficult for me because I'm the giver, not the receiver. So all this has been very humbling.
Hey, games change now, sister, right? So if someone wants to mow your lawn, rock on, mow it. Or you know what's awesome? You're going to have 1 or 2 family members who are like super Uber go-getters. You can sit with them and say, here's what I need you to do. I need you to schedule lawn care for the next year. And that'd be such a gift for them. And you can tell them, I don't want to cook for the next 11 years. Set it up. And they will be like, yes. And they'll get a spreadsheet out. Every family's got that person, right? You can give them that gift, and that you are going to have to learn just to say thank you and say, yes, I need some help. I need some help with some laundry. Yes. I need some help with my kids. Does that make sense?
Yes. Actually, his aunt has been in charge of the meal train and childcare, getting that scheduled. And my father-in-law has been taking care of just anything that needs done around the house, getting everything on auto pay for bills and setting up things and all that stuff. So
great. How are you guys financially?
I got more help than I know how to deal with.
How are you guys financially?
We are okay. We had that 3 to 6 months of expenses saved.
Awesome.
And because so many people have been so generous, we have not touched that at all.
Great. Did you have short-term or long-term care insurance?
That is in the works as we speak.
But your husband had that at his employment?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. So good. What a gift. I've been in these situations where someone's got to go to work on Monday, and that's such a gift. Good. All right, here is the last little piece of advice I'll give you. Okay? This is all free, so you can hang up the phone and be like, well, that was a waste of 10 minutes of my life. I want you to practice not feeling guilty for smiling. And I want you to practice not feeling guilty for laughing, for taking the kids out to dinner, just y'all 4, for going to a movie, just y'all 4. You're going to feel guilty that you're not including parents and grandparents and cousins. You're going to feel guilty that you're doing these things, and it's going to feel like you're quote unquote moving on while your husband's in a hospital bed. You're going to feel guilty when you got to pick up all 3 kids and you're going to miss one of his PT appointments. And I want you to decide now, I'm going to be at peace with trying to, however difficult and ugly and brutal it is. If I see a flower growing up to the sidewalk, I'm going to stop and acknowledge it because it's beautiful. If something's funny in my house, I'm going to laugh. I'm not going to feel guilty about it just because my husband's not here. Okay? The guilt and shame machine will get up and going in a wild, wild way. So I want to make sure you have a journal of some sort. And if I were you, I would overpay for it. I'd go get some fancy pants, leather bound, something or other. And I would start a series of letters to my husband, things he misses, like when it just pops in your head, a funny joke, an old Office episode, whatever it happens to be. When you reach over in bed and he's not there, I want you just to write that down. I reached for you tonight and you weren't here. I miss you. Mm-hmm. And had something hilarious happen today and I missed you. I ruined dinner again and I can't even warm up leftovers right. And you would have laughed at me and you weren't here. Missed you. Had an awesome day at PT today and it was so good to see you.
I have been writing those things down.
So good.
And just so that when he is actually able to read again, he'll have something to look through.
And I want your children to draw him pictures. Children
Yes.
process things through play, through writing stuff down, through coloring. You can color Daddy a picture, and maybe that becomes a thing you'll do once a week or twice a week. We're all going to color Daddy a picture. We're going to make him get some grass and gravel. I don't know what kids do. They come up with crazy stuff. And know that your 5-year-old's going to have different memories than your 1-year-old, right?
Oh, yes.
Those are going to be different. The 1-year-old he's going to be abstract. He's going to be this floating presence that was sort of here and not here. And then 6 months from now, it'll have been, almost half of that young child's life where Dad wasn't here, or Dad was just that guy in the hospital. So every kid's going to have different levels of memory, and it will be different for everybody, right? Don't put expectations. Don't compare your grief. Don't say, well, it could have been so bad. No, this is hard and awful and heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Right?
It's very lonely without him here.
It's so lonely. And then his shoes are over there in the corner, and his stupid shirt still wadded up in the bathroom, right? It's all still there.
Yeah.
And there's those days it's so comforting to see that stuff, and there's those days that it is so heartbreaking to see that stuff, right?
Yeah. Who knew actually doing his laundry would be so hard?
Yeah.
Well,
it's always hard. It's always hard, but it's especially hard now. Look those doctors in the eye and tell them that you love them and you're grateful for them, and pass along that gratitude where you can is a healing gift for you too. And just know you're going to be healing from this forever, for a long time. So you're not going to try to outrun the grief. You're not going to try to outrun the healing. It's going to be little tiny steps every single day.
Yeah.
Your kids are really blessed to have you, Grace. And what an incredible family. Incredible family. Make sure you have non-family friends that you can be angry with and cuss your brains out with and scream at and be mad at God with, if you're a person of faith, that you can just rage through this and you can cry with and you can laugh with and go get pedicures with and all those things. Make sure you've got people to do this with, because grief demands a witness. And this isn't going to make sense for a long time. That's not really the goal. The goal is survival. The goal is learning how to breathe again. The goal is making sure those kids and you are eating and walking and moving. And the goal is holding that old man's hand. And the advancements they've made with TBI is just something to behold. And so I would hold every bit of optimism and hope that 2 to 5 years becomes 6 to 9 months, that we don't know how long becomes suddenly he sits up and says, I got a headache. And I've seen that a few times with people that I'm close to. So keep out hope, keep out optimism. Don't be afraid of the grief. Don't feel guilty for laughing. And we will be thinking about you, Grace. We will be thinking about you. Stay in touch, and we'll talk to you soon.